The loudest person in the room is almost never the most powerful. Real power does not announce itself. It does not need to. That is why most people never even notice it. We have been conditioned by a noisy society to associate volume with importance. We instinctively believe that the person dominating the conversation, the one taking up the most acoustic space, is the one in charge. But if you look closely at the highest, most insulated tiers of society, you will notice a completely different dynamic. The true elite communicate through restraint. They do not speak to be heard. They speak only when it is necessary to alter reality. In the modern world, attention is treated as the ultimate currency. People exhaust themselves trying to be seen. They purchase status symbols they cannot afford. They broadcast their every movement online. They perform their lives for an audience of strangers. They are screaming to the world, "Look at me, I matter." But loud status is almost always insecurity trying to be seen. Quiet status assumes it already is. Consider the psychology of wealth and how it manifests in behavior. There is a fundamental psychological divide between those who recently acquired status and those who have possessed it for a lifetime. New money is anxious. It remembers what it was like to be invisible, and it is terrified of becoming invisible again. Because the status is new, it feels fragile. So it builds a fortress of visible wealth. It overcompensates. It demands VIP treatment because it needs external validation to confirm that it has finally arrived. But old money, and those who have mastered the psychology of true influence, behave entirely differently. To them, visible wealth is not a flex, it is a vulnerability. They wear garments woven from the finest materials on earth, but you will not find a single logo on them. Their watches do not sparkle. They are complex, understated mechanisms recognizable only to the handful of people who already understand their value. This is the hidden language of exclusivity. It is a signal sent specifically to peers, completely invisible to the crowd. People who truly belong at the top rarely feel the need to announce it to the bottom. This language of restraint extends far beyond clothing. It governs how the elite navigate human interaction. Watch how power operates in a room. When a difficult question is asked, the insecure person rushes to answer. They fear the dead air. They fear that if they stop talking, they will lose the room's attention, so they fill the space with unnecessary words. They over-explain. They justify. The powerful person does the exact opposite. They embrace the void. When asked a question, they allow a calm, heavy pause to settle over the table before they even begin to open their mouth. They are entirely unbothered by the awkwardness of silence. Silence creates psychological gravity. In a high-stakes negotiation, this tactical silence is devastating. Human beings are biologically wired to resolve social tension. When someone creates a silent void, the weaker mind will inevitably panic and speak to fill it. They will negotiate against themselves. They will reveal their bottom line. They will expose their anxiety. The elite understand a brutal psychological truth. Whoever is most comfortable in the silence holds all the leverage. Reactions are a currency. The people with the most power spend it very carefully. Emotional control is the ultimate display of social dominance. Most people are highly reactive. They are easily provoked, easily excited, easily offended. Their emotional baseline is entirely dictated by their environment. If someone insults them, they immediately flare up in anger. If someone compliments them, they immediately glow with pride. They are puppets, and the world holds the strings. But minimal reactions are a signal of immense psychological power. When you do not react impulsively to chaos, you signal that you are not threatened by it. You are above it. The highest status signal is often calm indifference. Those who crave validation reveal their insecurity without realizing it. They laugh a little too hard at their superiors' jokes. They get visibly upset when interrupted. They lean in too far. But the person holding true influence remains an unshakable anchor. Their body language is controlled, expansive, but never intrusive. They do not lean in to seek approval. They force the world to lean into them. Have you ever noticed how a room naturally shifts its center of gravity? The wealthiest, most influential people in the room are often studying the room, not performing for it. They sit back, they observe the hierarchies forming, they notice who is desperate, who is lying, and who is actually competent. They listen strategically. And when they finally do speak, they do not have to raise their volume. Because they have conserved their verbal energy, because they have not diluted their presence with endless chatter, their words carry a disproportionate amount of weight. The room subconsciously quiets down to meet their volume. Noise attracts attention, silence attracts authority. The elite do not over-explain. They state their position precisely and then they stop talking. They do not beg you to agree with them. Their certainty is absolute, and certainty does not require a defense. We live in an era of attention addiction. Society has convinced the masses that visibility is the only metric of success. We are taught that if you are not seen, you do not exist. We live in a culture that rewards public validation, loud branding, and the relentless performance of identity. But the true elite operate on a completely inverted paradigm. For them, privacy is the ultimate luxury. They do not want to be famous, they want to be untouchable. Strategic invisibility is a choice. When you are accessible to everyone, your value inherently decreases. When your life is a closed book, people project their own awe, respect, and intimidation onto the cover. The ultra-wealthy understand that mystery is far more powerful than transparency. They buy up the land around their homes just to ensure no one can look in. They use trusts to hide their assets. They leave no digital footprint. While the rest of the world is desperately trying to be noticed, the people who actually run the world are paying millions of dollars to remain completely unseen. The people chasing status almost always expose the fact that they do not truly have it. They are playing a game of pretend, exhausting themselves to convince a room of their worth. But they are operating under the illusion that power is loud. Real power rarely performs. It does not need the applause of strangers. It does not need to boast, because the reality of its existence is heavy enough. The elite understands something most people never learn. Attention is a currency, but silence controls the room. When you finally understand this, your behavior fundamentally changes. You stop feeling the desperate urge to prove your value to people who do not matter. You stop explaining yourself. You stop competing for airtime. You begin to observe. You begin to control your reactions. You begin to hoard your attention like the invaluable asset it is. The next time you find yourself in a room, do not look for the person making the most noise. Look for the person who is entirely unbothered by the silence. Look for the restraint. Look for the control. Once you understand the language of quiet power, you start noticing how much insecurity hides behind noise. If you want to know the psychology of loud people and what they're really hiding, watch this video. I'll see you in the next video.